edition of the Talkie Taka podcast. For some of us, it's a happy occasion, for others, not so much. We are reconvening after a round of games in the FA Cup, in the Carabao Cup, and in the Premier League over a period of 10 days, the winter break. And we've had some explosive news in the recent days as well. So, to discuss all of this, I have on the panel today Radhaji, RK, and Ashwin. Uh, so I'm going to start with Ashwin. Ashwin, what's your talkie point?
I think it's been semi-good, I would say, in the sense that there has been some um, developments out off-field. When you support United, there's always some off-field news that keeps on coming up. Thankfully, this time it was one of the good ones,
इसको
and
कुछ जियो का सिम
we
ला के दो.
finally got um, Ineos has started making certain changes at the club already, which seems promising at least. So, Omer Barada joining from Man City, he'll be joining over the summer, but at least that's a good start. And it seems that there would be some kind of structure in the club at least. I'm hoping that would be followed up with the appointment of Paul Mitchell and Dan Ashworth as well. So yeah, that was probably the good bit. The bad bit was United on field don't seem to know how to play a draw against Spurs, which we could have honestly lost. And I watched it in the stadium live, and I went back to London with a lot of Spurs fans who were literally telling me how football should be played as if they won a lot of trophies, which did not happen. But and then following it up with a routine FA Cup. I say
Okay.
routine, but we almost lost that as well.
Okay. RK, what's it for you? What's your talkie point? And are you slightly more optimistic than Ashwin?
No, I am a bit more pessimistic. So the other news is my talking point about United. Like the other news is Rashford celebrating Wednesday and Thursday night in Belfast. As per Ashwin, if you go to Belfast, you don't get back sane. That's what Rashford did. Ill health is, I think, like we are all fairly clear that it means hangover. So that's the latest disciplinary issue for United, and definitely it has to be bad news because when your replacement is Anthony, it's always bad news. So it's going to be tricky how Ten Hag deals with this new disciplinary issue now.
Yeah, and this is not the first instance of a disciplinary issue with Rashford, and considering his place in the team has also been under question, his form has been under question. I don't know where this is headed. Let's see. Finally, Radhaji, I guess not much has been happening in your part of the world. Your talking point is, I'm assuming, Everton losing to Luton because you're a closet Everton fan, right?
Yeah, just a pretty docile last week. Nothing much to talk about. I was thinking of skipping the pod as well because there was not too many topics to get through this week. I mean, what can you say, man? Just a minute, a tweet, a video posted on X or Twitter or whatever, and your whole life comes crashing down. It's just insane. I can't believe it. I just absolutely love this man. There I was, like, sitting in the crowd, waiting like a couple of hours away from like an experience of a lifetime, waiting to watch Coldplay live, and I see this on my phone, and I'm thinking that, okay, are we near April 1st? Is somebody doing some heavy deep fakes and like sharing it around? Like, I just couldn't believe my eyes. Sitting in a stadium in Singapore, waiting for a band which is supposed to make you really happy, and sitting with tears in my eyes. I mean, it's just, I don't know where to start. It's pretty incredible last few days. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get to it in more detail. But yeah, Klopp is the talkie moment of the week. Not just my talkie moment of the week, one of the only talkie moments in football at the moment. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So from cold play to play feeling cold, or some such other bad jokes. But yeah, let's get into it right now. Like, how do you see Klopp's legacy when he leaves at the end of the season? And it's been like almost 9 years, I think, and he's delivered you a Premier League title, he's delivered Champions League, he's delivered other cup success. not just the titles, but also the way Liverpool have been playing, have developed an identity as a team after Rodgers. How do you see? Um, I mean, okay, and this season there might be some more silverware as well. But how do you see his legacy being written once he leaves? Is this has been compared to a Shankly leaving moment? Is it the same for you, or probably even more because you've seen this firsthand?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment on Shankly. I've only read about his greatness, and of course, he would have taken over Liverpool in a totally different set of circumstances where they were in the championship or they got relegated and all sorts of stuff. So can't compare. But in my lifetime, in my time as a Liverpool fan, there's nothing that comes close to this man. I just love this man. He's so much more than just a manager. I think Liverpool managers have always been iconic in that the fans and the manager have such a strong connection, always far more than the connections that we have with players. It's always been like Shankly, Paisley, Kenny. If you talk about, even if you go through the intensity of the fan manager connection, even Rafa, even though Rafa didn't really achieve as much as some of these other names, if you just think about the passion and connection that Liverpool fans have to Rafa, it's just insane. And then Klopp just, he just like turned it all around for the club. We only used to hear stories about how Liverpool was a great team. It was an important team in the 80s, in the 90s, and in the 70s and whatnot. But we never got to live it. We were always living off somebody else's experiences, somebody else's stories. I think Klopp completely changed that around, and we were a shite club. I think I don't know more than any of you guys. Although I know that the United guys have been disappointed for some time now, but through our formative years of watching football, um, I think I was pretty alone in that. I was supporting one of those supporters of a club that is damn right mediocre in so many aspects. And yeah, it started to turn around with Rafa coming in, winning an odd trophy here and there, but actually becoming a good team and sustained amazing performances and exciting fans. And I honestly feel that success is just a bonus with Klopp. Like, it's, we could win nothing and this would still be the happiest time as a football fan in my entire life. There is no coming close to it. Also, the Champions League final of 2005, uh, great amazing moment, but in the general way of speaking, the way my mood, my attitude towards football, the therapeutic effect that it has on me today, it's so completely positive in all facts. This is why I think I turn things around really quickly after disappointment as well these days. If we have a bad game, if we lose another Champions League final, I get over it quite quickly, because it's really just a bonus. I think I went on Instagram on in 2019, the night before the Champions League final, and I just said, listen, that was also a year after I had gone to see Anfield for the first time, and I was part of the atmosphere and ale 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 and everything. It was just a magical situation, and all of that is created by this guy. So winning stuff honestly was a supreme bonus. This guy is given us so much more than just one trophy here and there, and he's won pretty much everything there is to win. So, and hell, you never know, maybe this year we can even add a few and just make this an absolute dream end to an absolute dream run. He's made us fall back in love with the club. And like I said, success is just a cherry on top after all of that. So his legacy is that he made success almost second, like, priority for a lot of us fans.
Ashwin.
Yeah, I can't add more to what Radha's already said, because obviously that is coming straight from the heart. But one thing I do, one thing I can probably talk about is there were similar emotions when Klopp left Dortmund as well. I think the man just connects with the club that he's managing, right? He like there's something that is definitely leaving behind with Liverpool Football Club, as he did with Dortmund as well. He just connects with fans in so many different levels, and it is very hard as a rival fan even to hate him, because you know uh, I, I mean, forget the fact that his teams have beaten or ripped apart United teams and all that. Like you can just see the what he gets across to his team is so simple, it's so beautiful, and there's this lovely connection between him, the team, and the fans. And that is something that I think rival fans kind of envy as well. And of course, he's been here for a long time. It's not easy to compete in the Premier League for such a long duration, especially against the likes of Guardiola, who's also like this machine, who's like really going at it. I think no matter who comes, I don't think they can challenge Klopp's legacy. It's not just the duration that he was here; it's also the trophies that he's won, the players that he's developed. A lot of people actually did doubt Liverpool when he first took over. I remember Carlo Ancelotti is one of the names that was touted, and everyone was like, "Why aren't Liverpool going for Carlo Ancelotti? And why are they going for this guy who RK would say managed in the Farmers League?" But like he's proved the doubters wrong, and he has made everyone believe in Liverpool as well. I kind of see this similar to how Alex Ferguson said Alex left as well, with the caveat that I think Sir Alex kind of left United in kind of a disarray, whereas Klopp has really built the team and he's going to leave them on in a much better situation than what Ferguson left United with.
RK, you had
Yeah,
a question for Radha.
yeah, but before that, Ashwin's, just to his comment on the Farmers League. So, when like you have a completely feudal setup and someone trumps the main farmer not once but twice, I don't think that comes into the conversation of Farmers League. I think what Klopp did with Dortmund, he kind of inverted the whole power structure. It was, very reminiscent of what Alex Ferguson kind of did with Aberdeen. I read recently that, in the Scottish League, Celtic and Rangers have won 85 times in in one century. But in the 8 years that Ferguson was there, Aberdeen won 3 times. So I think what Klopp did was very similar, being able to win, if I remember correctly, 2 years consecutively, trumping Bayern, and then of course getting his whole generation of players getting taken away one after the other was not a joke at all. But I just wanted to know from Radha, out of the top of your hat, what are the top three moments? Not necessarily trophies, obviously, but like if I ask you Klopp best memories, what would leap into your mind? Top three.
So I'm not even. I'm going to go way past three. I'm calling it right now. But I'm going to go chronologically. I'll try and keep it to a round number. So if I stop at five, I'll stop at five. Otherwise, it's going to go to 10. I'm telling you right now. But yeah, starting right from the beginning, I think I'm going to call out significant moments, which were all part of the journey, I guess. So the first one is the game against Palace. I think it was our first loss against Klopp. With Klopp. We lost 1-2, and then he came out and he said he felt alone in the crowd in the stadium, and that people at Anfield were leaving. That was like a most poignant moment of telling everybody that, hey, the great club and the great supporting fan base that you're supposed to be, this is what you're actually doing. You're no longer that. You are leaving your own team when they're losing to Crystal Palace, and stuff like that. And he really called out the supporters, and this was maybe 3-4 weeks into his tenure at Liverpool. Then after that, West Brom, it was a 2-2 draw against West Brom, a lowly West Brom, where he got all the crowd to come, got all the guys to come to the crowd and do the whole hands up German kind of celebration, mocked by everybody in England because, like, oh my god, look at these losers, they're celebrating a point with against West Brom. But again, the point that he was making is that, hey, this this time I felt that you guys didn't leave me alone. So the equalizer that we got against him, he was like, okay, you guys powered it through. He set up that connection with the fans, and that's been one of the strongest connections that I've ever experienced, for sure. Dortmund 4-3, maybe a year same year or a little bit year later, 4-3. The European nights at Anfield were back, beating City in the Champions League in the following season, the first season that we qualified. City was clearly the best team in the world, and they were like threatening to go and win the Champions League right from 2018. But beating them handsomely, smashing them, they really it really put a marker down that hey, a Klopp team is the real deal. And he always said that I want to be the toughest team that any other team goes to play. And he totally showed with the Pep teams that uh, Pep really started to fear playing against those kinds of Liverpool situations. Then losing to Real in the final, Klopp after the final basically goes into the dressing room. He parties with everybody, sings songs, makes everybody feel like, hey, this is just the start of our journey. Everything is going to be totally fine. Then following that up with Barca the next year, 4-0 when we're out like pretty much Company scores a screamer against Leicester, so we pretty much know we're losing the league. Then 4-0, we need to come back against Barca, proper dreams come true kind of situation. Then winning the Champions League that year, even in our worst seasons, making us like unforgettable moments with this team and this entire atmosphere around it. Doing the domestic double, almost going all the way. Played every single game that there is to play. Doing the domestic double, where two cups has now become like a okay, what an underpowering, like underperforming average kind of season situation. Then another shite season, beating United 7-0 to give us like some small glimmer of hope in a terrible season when we finish out of the Champions League, but still one unforgettable memory which will last a lifetime. And then this season is my final one, turning it around. Uh, I remember I texted you guys when we lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League that this is the end of an era. I don't think we're coming back from here. I think the great Liverpool team is done. That's what I texted you guys. From that situation to kind of revamp it the way that he has, when he looked completely out of energy last season itself. In fact, if he had announced his retirement last season, I would have been like, I was dreading it. But this season, he's just turned it around with the midfield from scratch. We have probably amongst the best attacks in Europe now. Virgil is revitalized, Trent is reimagined, tactical, technical switches, the substitutions all over the place. He looks so fresh and energized, which is why it's a real gut wrench when he announced it. Like I didn't see it coming. I thought he was reinvigorated and vitalized and all of that. So yeah, I mean, these are the 10, 9, 10 things that I like, chronologically speaking, that has just been a journey. And yeah, I'm hoping that I can replace them with 10 more for the end of the season now.
Yeah, I think for me, the main thing that stands out about people like Klopp is their personality. It's a natural thing. It doesn't come to everybody. Like you look at even Guardiola, or you look at maybe Rafa Benitez, or or even someone like a Mourinho who used to be so good with fans. But this kind of a rip roaring, very enthusiastic persona, I think also helps Klopp. And he's someone who goes out of his way, I feel, to connect with the local crowd. He's participated in the Liverpool urban life, endeared himself to fans by engaging with them. I think one of the most or the best memories that like a neutral fan could remember about Klopp is, of course, bringing over the Irish specially abled kid as well recently. That was a very special video that Liverpool put out. So things like that, he shows the human side of himself, and how he looks at life, how he looks at the game. And I also recollect the quote which he said, I think, in his first press conference, that don't remember me uh, by what people think of me when I was brought in, as Ashwin was saying, all the question marks about is he going to do it in Premier League or not, but remember me when I leave. So and give me the time, give me the patience, so that I'm able to do that. So that's, I think, what is special about Klopp.
Yeah, I think Eric Ten Hag called it a couple of years back, right? Eras can come to an end. So this is probably what he meant by that, because our man is not going to bring down the mighty Liverpool. This is how Liverpool will be brought
Yeah,
down.
eras will end because the managers will get tired of it and go
You know
go
what?
home.
If
Who
anything,
knows? Pep might be going out next year. Who knows?
if
Mm.
anything, this just makes United's managerial search, tougher, in case, which looks like very likely, that Ten Hag is not going to continue next year if he goes on like this. In that case, I'm sure that any manager, with a top billing would prefer Liverpool over United in the current state.
Well, the Barcelona job is also open. So that's actually my next question, and it's not just for Radha, it's for you guys as well, because you've seen this where this force of nature personality leaves, and then you have a succession which doesn't really work out well. So what's the road ahead for Liverpool in terms of a new managerial appointment? Obviously, Alonso's name is being mentioned quite heavily. ex-Liverpool guy doing very well in Europe right now. Uh, there are other names being mentioned as well, but how does this go about? And does it make sense to go? I mean, does it make sense for a manager to take up this position, like follow such a big personality for the club? Is it too much, like Moyes found out at United?
I think what helps Liverpool is even before appointing Klopp, they had a decent structure in place. Probably they're missing that right now with the sporting director also moving out, but they do have the building blocks to do a good search. And whatever happened with United, uh, I think that's it's an example for everyone what not to do. Ferguson was an institution in himself. He used to take care of things end to end. He had decent support, but it was a one man structure basically, which was reminiscent of maybe how Wenger also used to operate. So times have definitely changed, and I don't expect Liverpool to repeat those same mistakes. Having said that, whenever I think of who can come in, my mind does not seem to be able to go beyond Alonso. Of course, it's all based on recent results. He's a very, very young manager. We have seen this before, but the first name that springs to mind is Alonso. What do you guys think?
I'm not too keen on Alonso right now because this is his first season in the prime time and being at the top
No.
of a league and things like that. I think it's still a bit early for him. My wild card entry, and Radha will probably throw a shoe from the screen at me, is Marcelo Bielsa. Like, get him in. He'll get Nunes firing, and he will make sure to utilize those crazy attacking talent. I don't know what he'll do with the defenders, but that would be a fun appointment.
Yeah, I think with Alonso, let's bear in mind that aside from the fact that his team is unbeaten right now, it's a very different style of play as well compared to what Klopp uses. Right, there's more build up through the middle, so it's more like a Pep rather than a Klopp kind of a thing. So it will be an ideology change as well. So jury's out on that. I think there are some other interesting propositions as well. So Roberto De Zerbi and Nagelsmann are the other prime candidates. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what the Liverpool hierarchy kind of comes up with. But at this point in time, I think Alonso, just because of the fact that he was an ex-Liverpool player, has won the Champions League with them as well. I think he's the clear favorite.
And some other options that I think we could, I mean, not we could, Liverpool could consider within the league is, uh, I mean, another wild card. So I only have wild card choices. Like, I don't have any um, normal choices here because no one is thinking about anyone other than Alonso right now. Is one is Kieran McKenna, if at Ipswich, who's doing very well. But the problem is he was a United Academy coach, so it might be tough for him to cross those battle lines. But he's another of those wild card choices, and
What about
deserve.
Steven Gerrard? What happened to him? I thought he was next in line. He was like the messiah. He will save Liverpool. Not save, but like take them to the next level or whatever.
Yeah, I think his team being eighth in the much vaunted Saudi League, which is already better than Liga right now, means that he needs to get better at managing his
But
current
it,
team.
it would be so much fun to see Liverpool do what United did with Ole and Chelsea did with Lampard, and hire someone like a Gerrard. It would be so much fun to watch for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think that was seriously being considered, right? When he was at Rangers and he had won that title and
And
he
and
came
and
to
and
Aston
when he
Villa.
started with
Hmm.
Villa, he actually had a really good run of games as well. So very much
Yeah,
like Ole, very
yeah.
streaky. And
And
yeah,
then
it'll be fun.
And
I'm
I
down for
think
it.
I think Emery coming to Villa and completely turning the team around sunk Gerard's reputation even further down in terms of, see, this is what could have been done. So yeah,
What? But since we're talking of Emery, is Emery in line for a big job again?
I don't know if he works well with a big club. I think he works better when he's at a smallish club.
I don't know what you're
So
talking about. I think he didn't do that well at Arsenal.
So I mean, I don't know who it's going to be, and I don't have any guesses, and I'm not even ready to um, start thinking about situations of a like that of a life past Klopp. But what I can say is that Ashwin, you mentioned that it'll be diametrically opposite styles. I think there's no continuity here. It is going to be a fresh, a clean cutoff. Um, it's also a cutoff in the sense that we're going to be like signing a new director of football, technical director, whatever that is as well. So everything's up for grabs. I don't think it's going to be hey, let's find somebody who can do a gegenpress, and that's the kind of people that we have. Well, the kind of people that we have, the kind of players that we have are extremely energetic, uh s- great stamina, great like ownership and like leadership qualities, and supremely technical players. Now you can find systems that work across different types of styles of play with these kinds of players. I don't think there's like a one dimensional set of players definitely in the squad. So yeah, it can be anything. It can be a pep kind of system, it can be like a counter attacking system, it can be a gegenpress. It's up for grabs. The personnel is definitely there. Now I don't think we're going to look for continuity of style for sure. So yeah, Alonso, I don't know, is it too early? I always feel like it's a big job shouldn't be uh, available so early to people. But Arteta is a good example where some club has taken a big risk, and it's gone right. Well, I'd argue it's gone quite right for Arsenal as well. So yeah, never know. I don't want to think about it, and hopefully I know that the club will do its due diligence and will go through a full process like they did when they wanted to hire Klopp and not Ancelotti as well. So just giving them that much faith that okay, they'll get the job done.
okay. So moving on to some actual games that happened during the past few days, like in the Premier League, we had this game week which was spread across 2 weeks, one game, one day, two games, one day. Um, any thoughts on any key points that stick out? Like we had this oil Cashiko where Newcastle and City decided, okay, we'll take over the goal of the month competition and we'll do all of them in one game itself. Then we had United and Spurs. These were the two games that we had talked about being the games to watch, and United and Spurs drew a game which I would say Spurs probably shaded and could have won, but didn't end up winning. And Liverpool thrashed Bournemouth, and I think it's going to be that angst of Klopp leaving that's going to drive them to thrash more and more teams as the season progresses. And Arsenal finally getting back on track after a few games off the boil. So, anything that stands out to you guys?
Yeah, what stands out is basically it's Jan and we are approaching Feb now, and it's still the same old shit with United. I know we have played only maybe 2 or 3 games this whole month, but it's just continuing on from where we left off in December, and not much signs of getting better. Spurs was the prime example of that. Playing at home, Ashwin was there. He can vouch for that, and like depending so much on counters, depending so much on transitions at Old Trafford was disappointing to watch. I know that you know Spurs play a high line, and with Bruno and Rash, you can always find players in behind, but that doesn't mean that you base your whole game plan on that. You should also, United are one of the most successful teams this season, and everything else has gone bad, but their high press hasn't. And to see them not being able to do a high press because a couple of players were off the mark, especially Rashford, was disappointing to watch. Uh, so I would much have preferred, United take the complete initiative against Spurs, try to dominate the game, and still play on transitions. That is, if you guys remember, Ten Hag's first season, there was a landmark game at Old Trafford, United against Spurs, which United dominated end to end, dominated the ball, dominated the territory, and people were saying that this was very reminiscent of Ten Hag's Ajax team, and this is probably the template that he wants to play. So from that moment in maybe October or November 2022 to 1.5 years later, watching United completely just play on counters, and basically give the initiative away was very disappointing. And then to follow that up with the FA Cup game, which happened yesterday, was also pretty disappointing to watch. Started off well, but I mean, concede so much chance, so many chances and so much control. 2 goals against a League Two team, 16th in the table in League Two, is pretty alarming. Players are coming back, and still you don't see proper patterns emerging. It's a bit alarming at the moment for us.
Yeah, I'll second that. I think the question that I have for all United fans, which I don't think anyone can answer right now, is what is United's style of play? Right? We don't know. With Spurs, we know they're gonna play the high line. With City, we know they'll choke you through the middle. With Liverpool, we know they'll do the gegen pressing or like press you incessantly. But like with United, you don't know. Like even with Chelsea, you have some form of understanding as to what the team would do. Uh, as you know, I was at the game, and you know when you're watching it live in the stadium, you can see the players' positions, and they were like non-positions. Like no one was giving the person on the ball any options to pass. Like the high line that they were trying to maintain wasn't straight. Delors was in his own wonderland. Van Bissaka was really restricted, and it probably comes down to like the fact that that's their strength. Dalot is good going forward, really bad coming back. Bissaka is good in one-to-one defending, really bad pushing forward. Right, so it's I I don't know what it is. Like, is Ten Hag not able to communicate well? Is Ten Hag not able to get the best out of these players? Are the players not motivated enough? It's like it's just a lot of questions we are not able to answer at this point in time. The game started actually really well. Hoyland scoring and that goal. I mean, it was a shot in anger almost, and it was a really good way to start. Rashford had a stinker, even though he got the goal. I think he got the assist as well, but he did not play well. I know a lot of fans in on social media are like, "Oh wow, look at how Rashford's form has been over the past 3, 4, 5 games." But like, no, he's not contributing to the team. So it's just not working out. And the fact that we were drawing to Newport is really telling. I think it's really telling. We won the game eventually because ultimately quality shows up. You're still a Premier League team, but we're just not there, man. Like I don't know, and I think there would be a point where Ineos loses patience either with certain group of players or the manager. Something has to give, and I think it will be very soon.
What needs to give for me, I'm kind of done with Rash. There are two reasons for that. One is this complete over dependence when he's in the team on playing transitions and trying to play him in behind is also killing our dynamic, because he doesn't seem to be able to do anything else right now. He doesn't play well against a deep defense. He doesn't keep the ball well. So the only thing that he's capable of doing right now is running behind the defense, which is really costing us, because that's something that we try to do every decent team that we play against. It was the same against Liverpool. It was the same against Spurs in the last 1 or 2 months, which I can remember. So Rashford is completely killing our game, I would say. And then you bring on top all the disciplinary issues. He's had multiple of them. His body language has been shite. His work rate has been completely pathetic. So, I mean, all things considered, we all remember the Newcastle game where he wasn't even tracking back. So, for me, it's better to make money out of him while he still has some years on his contract, and get a proper player with who can subscribe to an elite manager's work ethic. I think removing Rashford is definitely something that needs to give this summer.
Okay. Any thoughts on City? City, the machine seems to be churning again. Newcastle gave them a good fight, but couldn't get any points from them. The Spurs hoodoo in the cup was also broken. I mean, Spurs have been their bogey team, but even here they eked out a win, courtesy Mr. Nathan. And And this is without Haaland still being on the pitch. So I don't know what state he's going to come back in, because they've been very secretive about his injury and the extent of it. But even without him, they seem to be finding a way, and it seems like now it does seem like it's just a two-horse race at the top.
And what a special contribution by De Bruyne in the Newcastle game. He just came on, and probably he wasn't even 100% match fit, but he was controlling the ball, controlling the chances. Such special interventions, the pass, and that youngster had a really calm, very very good finish. Great ball from De Bruyne, and he just interchanges the ball between his legs, goes past the keeper. Such a calm finish. I think City, okay, United have got something back in the academy, but cities seem to be continuously producing good kids all the time as well.
Can I just say that Oscar Bob sounds such a made-up name? Like it is, it's
This is what
like
you call a football manager region name.
yeah, it's like yeah, or like a fake player that you create on like FIFA or something. Like it's just yeah, it's just I don't know. I for a moment I thought it's one of those things that City do to balance the books or something, and then actually a player turned up and scored as well. So anyway, who am I to say anything?
Yeah.
With an assist like that, I mean, it can literally be anybody. It can be John Doe, Kevin De Bruyne, man. The death knell has been sounded. City are here. They're coming for everybody else. I don't agree, Swag, that it's a two-horse race. I think Arsenal are just one result away from being right in the thick of things as well, and Liverpool and Arsenal have to play at the Emirates as well. So I don't think it's going to be as two-horse as you're saying. But yeah, City, they are by far, I think, the favorites. The
And
only thing that
and also look who's the form team. Last four, if I'm not mistaken, four consecutive Premier League wins for Chelsea. Swag
Yeah,
maintaining a studied silence.
I think we've been lucky with the opposition. We'll talk about what's coming up in our windscreen very soon, starting, is it tomorrow or day after tomorrow? But yeah, we've gained a few points in the top half after a very long time. I mean, 2 points from seventh, but also 2 points from 11th. So we'll see. I think this next couple of months is going to be crucial, because we'll have the Carabao Cup final as well, and also we'll play the biggies like Liverpool, City, Spurs. I think all the top six, apart from Arsenal, is being covered in the next 2 months. So if we can come out with this still looking healthy, I'll be more than happy. I mean, if we finish anywhere in the top eight, I'm happy for the season. Like I've written off Europe a long time ago, but if we can show some progress, that's more than enough for me for this season. But yeah, um, coming to the other game, Liverpool thrashing Bournemouth and Nunes scoring twice. The boys finally got his shooting boots on for a change.
he scored yesterday as well in the FA Cup. So yeah, it's looking pretty. You can never tell what's going to happen next week. But yes, this week was good. What I really liked were they were proper striker finishes, not the hard hitting volleys or thumps that he usually keeps attempting. It was a proper side foot finish into the corner, and then a very instinctive outside of the foot finish into the corner. So yeah, long may it continue, and I hope they keep finding him for those kinds of chances, and he keeps staying cool and taking them.
Yeah, and finally, Arsenal finally back on their high horse, as Radha alluded to, that they're not too far off from the top, beating Crystal Palace 5-0 in, I think, for one goal. It took them, I think, 10 point something seconds from Raya getting the ball and throwing it forward, and the ball getting into the back of the net. It was like 10 seconds. That's this fast, pacey counter attack. Um, so they've been a bit off the ball, and I mean, for me, I think the form seems to indicate something more. You guys probably think that they're still in the title race. We'll see, but
But I, Swag, I watched parts of the game and it was a bit weird because They scored 2 goals from direct set pieces, I think from corners, if I recollect now, and 2 or 3 goals from proper counters. So in terms of game control and dynamism, whatever you would normally associate with Arteta, maybe last season, they Arsenal didn't really show it for large parts of the match while being decent. So it was still, I would say, a 6 or 7 out of 10 performance, but absolutely clinical on specific aspects of the game like set pieces and counters. So still, jury is out on their form. We all know what they're capable of, but they're still off the pace for me. So they need to build a run, and then only then they will be back in the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, before we move on to the next game week, we've been missing a bit of FPL chat. Ashwin, you want to fill us in on who these picks can be coming up? Haaland is supposedly close to a return, but Guardiola wants to screw over every FPL manager by not giving an exact date, so people can't sub him in yet. I don't know what's happening.
And also Salah is also out now, so looks like they will have a lot of money in the bank. So I think the best pick for probably this week is going to be Kevin De Bruyne. Um, if even if he's having those 30-40 minute cameos, the fact that he got a 12 pointer last time out, and the fact that he's facing Burnley this week makes him a immediate pick. Um, the other team to look at is probably Brighton. They have some really good games coming up, and I know Swag, you are secretly smiling there because I know you have Estupinian, so good time to be an Estupinian owner as well. Um, and then some good news for Liverpool fans. Apparently, Alexander Arnold is now back, so anyone who has still held him in their FPL team, they can now do a evil laugh because he's definitely going to start against Chelsea at home. I think he'll be feasting at that prospect as well. So good to have Trent Trent in the team if you don't have him, if you have him already.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit wary of Newcastle assets right now because of all this talk about their FFP and PSR and them needing to sell. Even Trippier's future has been under doubt, even though they've said that they don't want to sell him. They've rejected an offer from Bayern. Callum Wilson's name has been touted. So I don't know. Like, and this might be more pertinent for draft compared to FPL because in FPL you would basically transfer them out. But in draft, it might be a bit tricky if you bank on Newcastle assets and suddenly they're gone. They'll have to wait a couple of years before they can be the highest revenue earning club in the world. Like City built up their empire. So for
Yeah,
a season or two, they might have to take the high road, if that may
Yeah,
be so.
speaking of, I mean, it's been like crickets and breeze blowing this entire January. I can't believe we're on 29th January and nothing has happened, man. It's been intense. I think everybody's spooked by Everton and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, it's. I mean, last January was basically Chelsea and Nottingham Forest spending everyone's money on behalf of them. So now you're left with no one has any money and no one can. I mean, everyone wants to sell their players at a fixed price and no one has that money to buy them at that price. So basically, I think half of the league is going to be non-compliant with PSR when it comes around at the end of the season.
yeah, there will
Yeah,
be a
just another
parity between Premier League, the other European leagues as a result, I think.
Just another shout out though for fantasy. Yeah, draft. I'm one of those guys who've kept. Yeah, Trent wasn't out for too long, but I'm one of those guys who kept Madison, and he's back. So that's another high scoring. He was on fire in fantasy before the injury. So hopefully he can start getting some points as well. A couple of affordable Liverpool defenders like Konate and Joe Gomez have also been playing a lot of football. So if you want to get some, Joe Gomez has never scored a goal, although he's trying to shoot in every single game to break that record. In every single game, he's trying it. So if you want to take a Liverpool player for some clean sheet points, then there are a couple of cheap ones available.
And
Simicas also, I hear, is back. Robertson is also though back. So Joe Gomez might still be a good shot.
and please don't play Licha just because he's back. United are still going to concede goals.
Mm, I don't know. Maybe a goal scorer like Ivan Tony might be a good bet, considering he's already back scoring and being introduced with the Undertaker's theme. So this is like for WWE watchers like me and Radha. This must be like, what multiverse have I entered into where Ivan Tony is coming out to the
House
Undertaker's
class.
music? Right. Let's move on to the final point on the agenda, which we've been hinting at a couple of times. This game week's action, and the crown jewel is Liverpool taking on Chelsea at Anfield, the first Premier League after Klopp's announcement. Couldn't you have waited another week to announce this, Mr. Klopp?
You know, you're talking about the Undertaker. You know that signature um, move or whatever maneuver that he does when he's like literally doing like this. That is exactly how it feels.
Yeah,
Liverpool are so gonna thrash Chelsea. They're
yeah.
so gonna, and with Darwin Núñez firing on all cylinders with Jota, I feel for you.
I
Just
have nothing
correcting
to add.
one point though, just one point. We've already had our Anfield bow in the FA Cup after the announcement. So yeah, they were singing for Klopp. Not that they're going to stop; they're going to do it for every single game from now till the end of the season. But the first game after the announcement has already happened, so Swag, you can worry a little less about that. But yeah, I mean, if we want our season to be special, and if we want our season to go right to the end in all the competitions that we're playing, Chelsea is a must-win, especially with Arsenal coming up like straight after Chelsea. So yeah, at Anfield, we have to win. So yeah, it's I guess we can go with a little bit of pressure off also, because now it's like everything, all any little bit of energy left for all these players, they have to give it up for this season. So yeah, let's go for it, and I hope all guns blazing, and we put in a good performance like we did against say Bournemouth and Newcastle and some of these other games in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I agree with Swag there because there were some concerns about the Anfield crowd this season. It's been slightly strangely silent a few times, and even Klopp came out and tried to exhort them to be louder. So now obviously it's going to be a natural explosion right through to the end of the season. It's like an active volcano now. So Swag better watch out.
Yeah. Like there's nothing. I mean, you can't accuse me of jinxing when I say that this game already looks like it's a write-off. But other games include Aston Villa taking on Newcastle United, where both teams have gone off the boil at the same time. You remember at the start of the season, this was a game that Newcastle thrashed Villa in. If I remember correctly, this was something like 4-1 or 5-1. Didn't seem like the table would look like this when these two teams met again. But Newcastle really need some points because they're at the edge of the top 10, and I don't think Eddie Howe survives the season if they finish where they are right now.
There were some people who had him in a sack list, I have to say.
Yeah,
So some people did expect a turnaround in the way the table would look at some stage. Although there have been plenty of sackings already before him, but still,
Maybe he can
yeah,
join Liverpool.
yeah, we could use a good kit man.
okay. And also, I'm interested to see Spurs versus Brentford, purely for the reason that Spurs will be Spurs, and interested to see how Tony performs. He's back. Let's see how he works out. But this is the midweek fixture list, and another game that's catching my eye. The final one is Wolves versus Man United, because Wolves have been a good form team in the recent few weeks, and they're playing at home against Man United, who are looking a bit fragile. So this should be
Yeah, it's
interesting.
also kind of like a mini circle for United fans because United Wolves was the first game of the season, and that's where all the alarm bells first started ringing with the shape that we were playing in and the fundamentals being wrong. the transition, defending on transitions being very weak. So this kind of comes back into a mini circle with so much of the season still to go. So it's going to be an important marker if we want to show any improvement with players returning. This is the game to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to be adding to our pessimism and concerns if we don't play well in this game.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Wolves are our bogey team. I guess who isn't right now, but
Also, isn't man? I'm blanking on his name now, but isn't that top assister guy back?
Neto.
Neto.
Neto, Pedro Neto, huh?
Yeah, he is. He's been back for the past two games. Yeah, I don't think so.
So
I think
I
we
thought
lose.
somehow Radha was referring to Mason Mount, but okay, I was going to say that he's not, nowhere close to coming back, and I'm not even sure if that's going to help.
There's a new assister and scorer in town, RK. His name is Anthony, and he's the greatest apparently.
Scores with his league foot.
Let's not talk about that guy. But one thing I remember from yesterday's match, it's the same old Anthony. He curls in and he does that curled shot attempt. It misses the goal post by some 10 yards, and he's showing to Garnacho, this is how much it missed. He always does that, and it just riles me off no end.
By the
Yeah.
way, before we wrap up this episode, I have a shout out to anybody and everybody listening and watching. I am looking to go to Anfield this season, so if anybody has a spare ticket, please do reach out to Tokitaka, and we'll be happy to pay homage to you on air. But yes, anybody with a ticket to Anfield anytime between now and the end of the season, just give me enough time to get a visa. But yeah, anytime after March.
Yeah, and Ashwin is cackling like a guy who has a forever visa to the UK. He's like, yeah, I don't need one.
He is not going to get tickets to Anfield until the end of
Dude,
the
I'm
season.
telling you,
Forget about it.
I'm in Coldplay stadium waiting for Coldplay. I'm already on like 6 parallel chats saying, "Hey Spurs, I'm finding it on this website. Shall we book it? Hey Wolves, last home game of the season, 1,400 pound VIP hospitality ticket, dude. I'm telling you, we'll go now. We just have to figure out which game."
Talking of Ashwin's, I mean, Swag was referring to forever UK visa. Ashwin, if you have that, actually, the next time Rash is, on your, island, just go over there and give him a slap. I know it's a different country, but please do that.
It was so funny because I I I s- I read the words nightclub and Belfast. And I was so sure that he wasn't ill. Like, I mean, come on. It's just this random categorization that Eric Ten Hag basically puts everyone in. Everyone is ill. Basically, they did not report for training.
Yeah, he was ill, just like taking a different sport. Like Glenn Maxwell was ill recently after a night out, where he basically went out partying with his Big Bash team and drank so much that he fell unconscious. So that's the illness that Rash suffered. But yeah, okay. So we'll wrap up here, listeners. As you can see, our topics of discussion have basically ended. So if anyone has tickets, please reach out to Radha or to the Tokitaka social media accounts, and we'll hopefully monitor them and get you in touch with this guy. And we'll see you again soon. Hopefully, somehow Darwin Nunes would have missed the goal. Hopefully, we'll see. For now, that's all from us. Bye bye.
You think that's going to save you, Swag?